All right, so we're diving into Rework today,
Yeah.
a book that kind of flips the script on how we think about business.
Mm-hmm.
And for, someone like you who's interested in building something new,
Right.
I think this is going to be pretty eye-opening.
Yeah, definitely.
These guys, Jason Fried and David Heinemeier Hansson,
Right.
the founders of Basecamp, they're all about cutting through the BS
Yeah.
and ditching that whole, like, bigger is better, hustle harder mentality.
Yeah, I think what's so refreshing about Rework is that it's not just like theoretical, It's
Right.
like they actually practice what they preach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For instance, they talk about embracing simplicity.
Yeah.
It sounds simple, but it's more than just, keep it simple, stupid.
Right.
They actually give really specific, actionable advice, like ditching those long, drawn-out meetings
Oh, yeah.
in favor of quick, focused huddles.
Yeah, that whole meetings as a last resort thing really stuck with me.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all been in those meetings. That could have been an email, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But what really surprised me was their take on detailed business plans.
Oh, yeah.
They're not fans.
They argue that those huge business plans are just like elaborate guesses about the future.
Right.
Instead, they're all about, starting small,
Okay.
testing your assumptions, and adapting quickly based on like real world feedback.
Interesting.
They actually used this approach when they built Basecamp.
Really?
They started with just the most basic project management features,
Okay.
and then they added more based on what their users actually needed.
So, starting small,
Mhm.
staying agile, but they don't stop there, do they?
No, they don't.
They also go after that whole long hours equals productivity myth.
Absolutely.
I mean, is that even a thing?
You're
Like,
right.
working long hours means you're being productive?
Yeah, Rework totally challenges that, like deeply ingrained belief that you have to grind yourself to the bone
Yeah.
to be successful.
Right.
They're more about like focusing on meaningful work,
Okay.
minimizing distractions, and just getting things done efficiently.
So ditch the endless emails and notifications.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
Right. Working smarter, not harder.
And they have some pretty radical ideas about how to do that.
Okay. Like what?
One of the most surprising takeaways for me was their stance on launching.
Oh, yeah.
They say, don't wait for perfection, just start now.
Really? I'm a little hesitant about that one.
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't you have everything figured out before you launch something?
Well, their argument is that waiting for the perfect moment
All right.
can actually be paralyzing.
Okay.
They believe it's better to launch something even if it's not perfect,
Right.
and then refine it based on user feedback.
Okay, so get it out there and then you'll learn from what people think about it.
They call it building your product in public.
Building in public.
And they use Basecamp as an example again.
Okay.
Yeah. They launched with a very basic version of their software
Makes sense.
and then just iteratively improved it based on what their users were telling them.
So I'm starting to see a pattern here.
Yeah,
They're all about action, not just endless planning.
precisely.
Okay. Action over planning.
And this kind of ties into another key concept from the book,
Go ahead.
bootstrapping.
Bootstrapping.
They're big advocates for building a profitable,
Right.
self-sustaining business
Okay.
without relying on outside funding.
Wait, so they're saying you don't need investors to build a successful business.
That's exactly their point.
Wow.
Bootstrapping means funding your business growth through profits,
Right.
not external investment.
Okay.
It gives you more control,
I like that.
more freedom, and it forces you to focus on building something that's actually profitable from day one
That makes a lot of sense.
instead of chasing, vanity metrics or whatever.
Okay, so bootstrapping, you're not reliant on anyone else.
Right, you're in the driver's seat.
Okay, so I'm guessing they're also not big fans of hiring a huge team right out of the gate.
You're reading their minds. They caution against hiring too early, arguing that it can lead to inefficiencies and unnecessary costs.
Right.
It's about being lean, staying agile,
Okay.
and adding team members only when you absolutely need them.
Now, this is where I'm really curious.
Yeah.
If you're staying small and you're bootstrapping, how do you even get the word out about your business?
Right.
They must have some interesting ideas about marketing.
Oh, they do.
Okay.
And it might surprise you.
All right, lay it on me.
They're big believers in what they call marketing without a budget.
Marketing without a budget. I like the sound of that.
And they actually dedicate a whole section of the book to it.
So spill the beans. What's their secret sauce?
Well, they champion the power of content marketing.
Content marketing.
They argue that sharing your expertise through a blog, articles, videos,
Uh-huh.
or even a simple newsletter can be incredibly effective in attracting customers.
Right.
They believe that by providing valuable content, you build trust and establish yourself as an authority in your field.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. You embrace simplicity, you start small,
Mm-hmm.
you focus on building a profitable business,
Right.
and then you use content marketing to attract customers organically.
Exactly.
It's a very different approach, but it makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Yeah.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, there's more.
There's so much more to unpack in Rework,
Oh, good.
from building a culture of trust and autonomy to the importance of saying no.
Can't wait to dive into that.
But before we get into those topics, what are your initial thoughts on what we've covered so far?
I'm honestly feeling a bit energized.
Yeah.
Their approach is so practical and refreshing. It's
Mhm.
about cutting through the noise and focusing on what truly matters.
Absolutely.
It almost makes starting a business feel, well, less daunting.
And that's exactly what Rework aims to do.
Yeah.
Empower you to build a better business on your own terms.
All right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll dive back into Rework and explore even more of their unconventional wisdom.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Rework.
I'm really enjoying this.
Me too. Uncovering all these practical nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah, before we jumped in,
Right.
I thought Rework would be another one of those books that's big on inspiration,
Right.
but light on actual, doing the thing.
Yeah.
But they're actually really specific about how to put these ideas into practice.
Right. And they walk themselves.
Yeah, they do.
They built Basecamp.
Right.
And before that, their design firm, 37 Signals, using these exact principles.
Right.
They're proof that this stuff works,
Yeah, it does.
even if it goes against the traditional business playbook.
One thing that really struck me was their whole philosophy on culture.
Oh, yeah.
They talk about building a culture of trust and autonomy,
Right.
which honestly sounds amazing.
It does.
But how do you actually do that?
Right?
It can't just be about letting everyone do whatever they want, right?
Well, they're definitely not advocating for anarchy.
Right.
But they make a compelling case for giving employees more ownership over their work. They believe that micromanagement stifles creativity and actually makes people less productive.
So it's more about setting clear expectations and then trusting your team to get the job done.
Exactly.
Got it.
They talk about giving people the freedom to make decisions,
Okay.
to experiment, and even to fail.
Interesting.
It's about creating an environment where people feel empowered to take risks and try new things.
That's a pretty big shift from the traditional command and control management style.
It is, and they acknowledge that it can be a bit scary for some managers.
Yeah.
But they argue that the benefits far outweigh the risks.
Okay.
They say that when you trust your team, you unlock their creativity and potential. And that leads to better results for everyone.
Yeah.
And it ties back into their views on remote work.
Oh, right.
They're huge proponents of remote work, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
They see it as a way to give people more flexibility and autonomy
Right.
over their work schedules and environment. And they argue that it can actually lead to increased focus and productivity.
Really?
Since people aren't constantly being interrupted by office chatter and distractions.
Yeah, I could see that.
Working from home, you can get in the zone.
Yeah.
You're not being pulled in a million different directions.
But they also talk about the importance of clear communication,
Right.
especially in a remote environment.
Exactly.
How do they suggest tackling that?
Well, they're not fans of constant emails and status updates.
I could see why.
Instead, they recommend using tools like internal blogs or project management systems
Okay.
to share information in a more focused and organized way.
So it's about creating a central hub for communication where everyone can access the information they need
Mm-hmm.
without having to wade through a ton of emails.
Precisely.
Okay.
Yeah. And they also talk about the importance of setting clear expectations and deadlines.
Right. So everyone knows what's expected of them
Exactly.
and when things need to be done.
But communication isn't just about tools and processes. It's about creating a culture of open and honest feedback.
Okay. Yeah, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of companies struggle with giving and receiving feedback effectively.
They do.
Yeah.
And Rework offers some really practical advice on how to improve that.
Like what?
They encourage managers to give feedback regularly
Okay.
and to focus on specific behaviors, not personalities.
Right, so not attacking the person,
Right, exactly.
but their actions.
And they emphasize the importance of framing feedback in a way that's constructive and helpful.
So it's not about tearing people down,
No,
but about helping them grow and improve.
exactly.
Makes sense.
And they also talk about the importance of creating a safe space for employees to give feedback to their managers.
Oh, wow. So it goes both ways.
It does.
Yeah.
They believe that open and honest communication is essential for building a strong and healthy culture.
Yeah. I could definitely see that.
Yeah, it's about creating a culture of trust and respect.
Where everyone feels comfortable speaking their mind.
Ex-
One thing that keeps popping up in my mind as we're talking about this is their advice to make a call, even if it's a bad one.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It seems like they're really encouraging a bias towards action.
Yeah, they are.
They argue that analysis paralysis can be a major roadblock to progress.
Right.
They'd rather see you make a decision, even if it's not perfect,
Okay.
and then course correct based on the results.
It's like that saying, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid to apply that philosophy to everything.
Wow.
From product development to marketing to hiring.
Speaking of product development, they have some pretty strong opinions about simplicity, don't they?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, what are some of those?
They believe that complexity is often a sign of poor design.
Interesting.
They advocate for focusing on the core functionality that users truly need
Okay.
and resisting the urge to add unnecessary features or bells and whistles.
So it's like they're saying, don't try to be everything to everyone.
Right.
Just focus on doing one thing really well.
Exactly. And they believe that this less is more approach actually leads to better user experiences.
Okay.
They use Basecamp as an example again. It's a very simple and intuitive tool,
Yeah.
even for people who aren't particularly tech savvy.
Right.
And that's by design.
Yeah.
They've intentionally stripped away all the unnecessary clutter and focused on the core features that people actually need.
Okay, I'm getting this. Keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on what matters.
Right.
And don't be afraid to make decisions and take action.
Exactly.
But let's circle back to marketing for a second.
Okay.
We talked about content marketing earlier,
Yeah.
but what other unconventional marketing strategies do they recommend?
They're big believers in the power of word-of-mouth marketing.
Word of mouth.
They say that the best way to promote your product or service is to create something so good that people can't help but tell their friends about it.
So it's about building a product or service that people genuinely love, and then letting your happy customers do the marketing for you.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a great strategy.
And they also encourage businesses to be bold, to stand out from the crowd, and to challenge industry norms.
Right.
They believe that differentiation is key to attracting attention in a crowded marketplace.
So don't be afraid to be different.
Exactly.
Embrace your quirks and let your personality shine through.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
And they back that up with real-world examples of companies that have successfully used unconventional marketing tactics to build their brands.
As we're talking about all this, I'm realizing that Rework isn't just a business book.
Yeah,
It's almost like a philosophy for life.
I agree.
It's about simplifying, focusing on what matters,
Mm-hmm.
trusting your instincts and taking action.
Right?
And those principles can be applied to so many different areas of life,
Absolutely.
not just business.
It's about being intentional, being deliberate,
Mhm.
and creating a life that aligns with your values and aspirations.
It makes a lot of sense.
It does.
All right, I'm feeling inspired.
Yeah.
But I'm also starting to wonder how all of this applies to the learn to say no concept that we mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That seems like a pretty important part of staying focused and avoiding overwhelm.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not just about saying no to distractions or requests for your time.
Right.
Rework talks about saying no to feature creep,
Okay.
to projects that don't align with your core vision,
Right.
and even to clients who are more trouble than they're worth.
Wait, did you just say fire problem clients?
I did.
That seems a little radical.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But they make a compelling argument for it.
Okay.
They say that difficult clients can drain your energy, your resources, and your morale.
Right.
And that letting go of those who don't align with your values or goals can actually be incredibly liberating and beneficial in the long run.
I could see how that would be true,
Mm,
but it's still a tough call to make.
it is.
How do they suggest approaching that conversation? They recommend being honest and direct with the client,
All right.
explaining why the relationship isn't working,
Right.
and offering to help them transition to a different provider.
So it's About ending the relationship professionally and respectfully.
Right.
Even if it's a difficult conversation.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they emphasize that it's better to part ways with a client who's not a good fit
Right.
than to let them drag you down and prevent you from focusing on the clients who are a good match for your business.
Okay, I'm getting this.
Yeah.
It's about being strategic and intentional about who you work with and what projects you take on.
Precisely.
All right.
And that's really at the heart of Rework's message.
Yes.
It's about building a better business,
Yeah.
one that's profitable, sustainable,
Right.
and aligned with your values.
It's about doing work that you're passionate about,
Absolutely.
working with people you respect, and creating a life that you love.
And it's about not being afraid to challenge the status quo and create something truly unique and meaningful.
All right. I'm ready to put these ideas into action.
Me too.
But before we wrap up our deep dive into Rework,
Mm-hmm.
is there anything else we should touch on?
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground,
All right.
but there's always more to uncover
Okay.
in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
Let's explore how all these concepts come together to create a truly Rework approach to business and life.
Okay. I like that.
And maybe we can even brainstorm some ways that you can start applying these ideas to your own ventures.
I love it. Sounds like a plan. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts on Rework. Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Rework. You know, we've been talking about all these unconventional ideas.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking about how they all connect to create this like completely different way of approaching business.
It's almost like a mindset shift, isn't it?
Totally, yeah.
It's not just about like individual tactics. It's like a whole new way of thinking about work, productivity, and success.
Exactly. And one thing that really stands out to me is their emphasis on long-term thinking
Right.
over short-term gains.
Mm-hmm.
They're not about chasing quick wins or the latest trends.
No.
It's all about building something sustainable and enduring.
They call it scratching your own itch.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
It's about building a business that solves a problem you genuinely care about,
Okay.
a problem you've experienced firsthand.
Yeah.
That way, you're more likely to be passionate about it for the long haul,
Right.
and that passion will shine through in everything you do.
And that ties into their philosophy of making money, not headlines.
Oh, yeah. I love that word.
It's not about building like a flashy business that attracts a lot of attention,
Right.
but ultimately isn't profitable.
Yeah, you gotta make money.
Right. They want to build a business that actually generates revenue
Mm-hmm.
and that can stand the test of time.
They argue that focusing on profitability from the start forces you to be more creative and resourceful.
Yeah, I could see that.
It also gives you more control over your business.
Okay.
Since you're not beholden to investors or external pressures.
So you're not answering to anybody.
Exactly. You're calling the shots.
All right. I'm seeing how all these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
You start by embracing simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
You focus on solving a problem you truly care about.
Right.
You build a profitable business.
Yep.
And you do it all while staying true to your values.
It's a powerful combination.
It's a very different approach,
It is.
but it's incredibly appealing.
I think so, too. It can be really liberating.
Yeah.
It's about breaking free from the traditional expectations of what a business should be
Right.
and creating something that truly aligns with your vision and aspirations.
You know, but let's be real for a second.
No.
It's not always easy to go against the grain, is it?
It's not. Yeah,
There are going to be times when you doubt yourself, when you wonder if you're doing the right thing.
absolutely. And Rework acknowledges that.
They do.
They talk about the importance of having a strong support system,
Yeah.
surrounding yourself with people who believe in your vision
Right.
and who can offer encouragement and advice when you need it.
Yeah, that's so important.
It is.
Especially when you're trying to do something different,
Mhm.
something that challenges the status quo.
They also talk about the importance of staying true to yourself,
Yeah.
of not letting external pressures or expectations dictate your choices.
Right, like stick to your guns.
Exactly. They encourage you to trust your instincts,
Okay.
to follow your own path, and to create something that you're truly proud of.
You know, one thing that really resonated with me was their advice to underdo your competition.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
It seems counterintuitive, but it actually makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Like, how does that work?
Well, they argue that trying to outdo your competition on every feature
Right.
or every metric can lead to like a bloated, complex product or service.
Okay, it's too much.
Right, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Instead, they suggest focusing on doing a few things really well,
Okay.
better than anyone else.
So find your niche.
Exactly. It's about finding your unique strengths and then playing to them.
Right.
It's about standing out by being different, not by trying to be everything to everyone.
And that ties back to their philosophy of selling your byproduct.
Oh, yeah, I love that
I
concept.
do too. It's really interesting.
They encourage businesses to share their knowledge,
Yeah.
their insights, their experiences with the world.
Yeah.
They believe that this not only builds trust and attracts customers,
Mhm.
but it also helps you refine your own thinking and become a thought leader in your field.
It's like that saying, the more you give, the more you get.
Exactly.
Right. Put it out there.
And they're not just talking about giving away free content.
Okay.
They're also talking about sharing your struggles,
Oh, wow.
your failures, your lessons learned.
Yeah.
They believe that by being open and transparent,
Right.
you connect with people on a deeper level and build stronger relationships.
So it's about being authentic,
Mm-hmm.
being vulnerable,
Yeah.
and being willing to share not just your successes, but also your challenges.
Exactly. And they believe that this kind of authenticity is ultimately what attracts and retains customers.
You know, as we're wrapping up this deep dive,
Yeah,
I'm realizing that Rework is so much more than just a business book.
I agree.
It's a guide to creating a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
It really is. It's about questioning assumptions,
Right.
challenging the status quo,
Mm-hmm.
and creating something that truly aligns with your values and aspirations.
Like the whole philosophy.
It is. It's about finding joy in the journey
Yeah.
and building something that you can be proud of.
It's about being intentional, being deliberate,
Mm-hmm.
and creating a life that's both successful and sustainable.
And it's about not being afraid to break the rules and create something truly unique and extraordinary.
So if you're looking for a book that will challenge your thinking,
Mm-hmm.
inspire you to action,
Yeah,
and help you create a business and a life that you love,
absolutely.
I highly recommend checking out Rework. It's a book that will stay with you long after you finish reading it.
And remember, the most important takeaway from Rework is to apply these ideas to your own unique context.
Right.
Experiment, iterate, and find what works best for you.
That's it for our deep dive into Rework. We hope you found it insightful, inspiring, and maybe even a little bit rebellious.
A little bit.
Until next time, happy diving.